Hello YouTube, Al here, and I might have bought a new guitar. So, I was in the charity shop the other day and I saw this. It's a play-on Strat. I've never heard of them. It's going to be one of those generic sort of off-brand, made in China, pretty much, you know, they'll all be made the same. And I'll just slap a name on it. Probably change the headstock shape a little bit for legal reasons. Maybe change the shape a little bit, but it'll be pretty much the same thing. And they sold it for cheap as chips to whoever, eBay or whatever. I know at school I had a mate who had one that, you know, it's pretty much the same as this generic Strat. It was like 30 quid it cost him. So I imagine this is probably in a similar sort of price bracket. This one's apparently manufactured by Toys R Us. It was made in China, but the label says Toys R Us. The serial number is 071020011, and the style is FW11226. It came with 3 springs in the back, which meant the bridge was actually lifting off the front because there wasn't enough tension to keep it down. I've added the strap, which is now quite annoying. It's in my way. The trem claw was actually screwed in so far that it was actually bending, kind of like that. So when I released the tension, it like that. So yeah, which made the bridge lift even more. The springs were crap, so I had to put some extra ones in. Again, this is just keeping the bridge to the body, just so it'll stay in tune a bit. I added the stainless steel saddles. It came with the kind of generic square chrome ones. It's the most cheap tremolo you could possibly find. You can see a tiny, tiny trem block there. Again, it really is the most inexpensive parts you could possibly get. The body, I'm pretty sure, is made of wood. If you look at the layers there, it does look like layers, but I do not believe they're layers of plywood. I think that's just from the routing bit. It's black and woody coloured. I think the black bits are, honestly, it's just the paint. It is just the paint on the surface. There's no way that is plywood, so I'm pretty happy it's solid wood. Doesn't matter to a lot of people. It matters to me because if you see my other videos, you'll probably be familiar with the Shine Strat, aka the custard caster I had, which did have a plywood body. Actually, that also came to me with 5 tuners, funnily enough. But the neck pocket absolutely just crumbled because there was no strength in it to keep it in place. So that was awful. But I don't believe this is plywood. The neck is maple. It's actually got a little bit of flame in it. If you go like that, you can kind of see it's got a little bit of stuff going on. Some imperfections in the wood there. Again, that's just really cosmetic. Rosewood board, I would expect. The most inexpensive junk tuners you can possibly imagine. In fact, they're so inexpensive, get this, that, where is it? The D, yeah, the D tuner. So underneath this cover, there should be a hole stamped out like all the other tuners are. So it just goes straight through into the body. This one, it wasn't stamped out properly in the factory where they made the tuners. Probably not the same factory as they made the guitar. And the screw has gone in at a awkward, sort of skidded and gone off into a stupid angle. So that will need to be drilled. That's really annoying. But yeah, the most inexpensive, junk, crappy tuners, trapezoidy tuners. Squire Bullet, but they might even be worse than Squire Bullets. I've not tried a Squire Bullet in years, but yeah, same level, probably even worse. They tune up. They do not really want to tune down. There's very little play in them, actually. You can see, if you can see the bushings, they don't all actually sit quite right. So maybe I'll need to push them in a bit more. Maybe that's to do with the length of the tuner or the angle of the headstock or something. But yes, the most inexpensive piece of S you can possibly think of. But when I saw this, I thought, okay, the pickguard's a bit aged. That's kind of nice. I do like aged looking pickguards. I hate the bright white thing. It probably does look white because of the lighting in this room, but it is slightly yellowed. You'll have to trust me on that one. The electrics all feel fine. There's no wear on the switch. The electronics were very treacly. I had to use a bit of cleaner on them. I've run out now, it's really annoying. But I've got the volume so I can actually turn it with one finger as opposed to these, which is a bit of a struggle and it kind of skids on my skin. So that'd be a bit of a ball ache. Yeah, I mean, it's really not bad, to be fair. The neck's quite nice. It's not a big neck. When I've got the Ratcaster, the original, this, see, it's got the same routing for the same sort of tuners. This has got a real big neck on it. Jesus, that is a big neck. This neck is quite a bit smaller, and it feels quite comfortable. It's got small frets on it as well. I like the vintage kind of fret wire. I think I like small frets. At least I like these small frets. The fret, well, I'm not going to say the word attention because that's too loose of a term. The fret manufacturing is just very shoddy. Not shoddy, but untidy. Untidy. The frets are in and they're in the right place, but it's very untidy. I haven't really found any high frets on this as yet, but that is because the action is bloody awful. This thing is damn near unplayable. So if you look at that, the action gets higher as you go up the neck, and that's awful, and that's because the neck isn't at the right angle to the body. So I've done some previous videos on neck shims, trying to shim various cheap Strats I've got issues with, and effectively this neck tilts back too much. So up here, the neck angle actually gets a little bit smaller, but the rest of it is really, really big. It used to be that it was massive here as well, but I've added a shim to the neck. If you can look, if I get the right angle, see in there, I've added a Stumac shim. I've ordered some new ones because this one's a 0.25, I think it is, and I've ordered another set because it's 0.5, 1 degree, and 0.25. So I'm going to give the 1 degree a go because the angle should be between 1 and 3 degrees. So says Stumac on YouTube, and I trust them. So I'm going to add a neck shim, and at that point I'll be able to do a demo of this guitar, hopefully, because it will stay in bloody tune. I've also got some tuners to replace these. They are a direct retrofit. They look the same, but promise you they're not. They're from Northwest Guitars, and they advertise a 19:1 gear ratio, which means for every 1 turn, well, it takes 19 turns of the tuner to get the shaft to do 1 full rotation. So that means it's a lot more, not just stable, but it's a lot more smooth and accurate when you're tuning, and you can go, oh, there we go, rather than jumping past it. The nut on this is actually reasonably well cut. I did do a little bit of work on it, but that's probably only because I used 10 to 52s, so the lower strings are a little bit thicker than the kind of regular 10 to 46 or maybe even 9s that people use. There's a horrible plastic square that goes behind the neck bolt and neck plate, and I took that off because A, it looked crap, B, it was kind of bugging me in my head that maybe it's going to affect the tone or maybe it's killing some sort of vibration, and C, I figure if I've added the neck shims, the neck's going to be slightly further away, so if I took out the plastic, then the screws are effectively going in a little bit further, and they might be able to grip onto the wood a bit better. So maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. Electronics are the most inexpensive you could possibly imagine. The pickups have got the rough plastic covers, not the nice smooth plastic. Again, they're the cheapest of the cheap. They really are the cheapest of the cheap. So the real question is, oh yeah, sorry, it's got a little wear around the body. Didn't even mention that. Look at all that. Which also makes me think, I don't think this is plywood, because I don't believe plywood would wear like that. And the custard caster had a really thick base coat of paint, and this doesn't. It's gone straight down to the wood. So I believe this is wood. I believe this to be wood. I also took out the neck pocket, and again, I could see the lines of the routing, but I don't think it's plywood. Even if it is, I could probably salvage most of the parts and buy a better body, because I don't trust plywood at all. But there we go. How much did this thing cost me? It cost me the princely sum of £15. Not bad. Not bad at all. Really not bad. There's practically no fret wear. I mean, you'd expect no fret wear because look at how high the bloody action is. It literally doesn't play in tune. If I go like this, and then up here, do you know what I mean? It's also fretting out at the top because when I go like that, effectively the action is now too low. Can you see that? But it does get a bit higher up there, so you can see the angle's wrong on the neck. So at the moment it's still unplayable. Forgive my voice, I've got a bit of a cold. But I can make this playable. I can make this playable. So again, I've ordered some replacement tuners for this that are going to be drop-in, apart from the one hole that I'm going to have to drill myself. I've got some saddles. These saddles, I've had this problem with the Ratocaster as well. They're Northwest guitars. They are nice bent steel saddles, but if you look closely, look at the screw and look at the back end of this. They're not all on the screw straight, and I really tried hard to get them on straight, but I think I'll have to take the screw out and just put the screw back in, because I've had this before where they're not quite level. They're a bit off to one side, which will not help with tuning at all because they won't sit right in the saddle. Look at that, the strings not sitting right in the saddle. Now, I also want to replace the tremolo block. It's really inexpensive, so I got this one. I finally found one online again that fits import guitars. This is a big boy steel block. Big boy steel tremolo block. These three screws, I can't speak today. These 3 screws effectively go, they're underneath these saddles. So this is the old trem block. And when you take the saddles off, you've got the 3 screws, you unscrew that, the block comes off the back, and you'd screw this on underneath there, and that hole there lines up with that one there. You can see that. I wanted to put the block on at the same time as the steel saddles, but that's a no-go at the moment because this routing is too small. I literally just tried to put it in like that, and it's touching either edge already. So this is the right size. This does fit this tremolo, but the routing in this is a bit naff. You can actually see it. Like, what's going on there? Normally it's quite neat around the corners, but this is very untidy. So I need to take it, or get someone to take some material out of the back there to make it a nicer full-sized cavity. Then I'll be able to put the nicer block on. Now, I got this from Black Dog Music, and the one I got on the Ratocaster and other guitars is a bit like this, but it's a little bit longer, and I think it's slightly wider as well. They're doing this new version now. They stopped selling those ones. I was waiting for months to get some, but I couldn't find any on their website. And I asked them, and they said they'd get them back in stock at some point. I was waiting. Finally got these. I believe these are a bit shorter because the Squire Bullets have a very slightly thinner body than the higher end ones. I don't know if the Affinities have a thinner body or not. I've read that they do, but I was under the impression that they didn't. But either way, the block is very slightly thinner, just so you can upgrade a Squire Bullet and you won't have the back sticking out of the guitar. So there we have it. This is the inexpensive Strat copy I've got. It doesn't sound bad. Again, I just put some new strings on it because I've put the new tuner on, and there we go. I'm not doing a sound test of this because it's really physically difficult to play. I've got to press the strings down so far to fret the note and to pull it off again. It's really bloody hard work trying to play this thing. But when I get the neck angle sorted, I'll be able to do a full review on this, because again, the electrics fully work. There's nothing wrong with them at all. The body, I mean, it seems fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Decent weight. Jack socket, it's going to be the cheapest of the cheap, but it works. It's fine. It feels perfectly solid when you plug into it. I don't believe this guitar's had a lot of wear, probably because it plays like arse, but there you go. I'm going to say it a third time, going to replace the tuners. The nut seems fine, not going to touch that. And the neck needs the shim, that's the most important thing. But this is kind of a coming home for me. My first electric guitar was a black Strat copy with a rosewood neck, and it was an Elevation. And I got it from Argos, and it was awful. It was 130 quid for the guitar and a little amplifier. I think they're called Acoustic Solutions or something. I've seen literally the exact same amplifier, just with loads of different names put on them. But it's like little black tiny thing with a little silver plate on with a little silver knobs popping out. It's all kind of satiny, chromy plastic. It's awful. But that guitar was awful. But I sat in my room for hours on position 2 in a Strat because it didn't buzz with the gain on full, playing Metallica riffs. So this feels like I'm coming home a bit, and I want to get this up and running. It's really weird to have a black Strat again. So it kind of feels a bit like a homecoming for me, having a black Strat again, especially a black starter Strat that needs a lot of work to set up, just like my old one did. So there you go. This is my new project that I'm gonna try and turn into something that's at least playable. It might even be giggable. Again, I'm in no rush to replace anything that works. I just want to see how I can get this working. There are things like the tremolo block. I'm going to replace that because I know these things are crap, and I've replaced them in my other cheap Strats, and it's made them sound a lot better. And these are 18 quid. 18 quid for a steel block. You really can't, you can't knock it. You really can't. So I'm going to do a few things to this. Again, I've already put saddles on it. I can't help myself. Sorry, I'm a tinkerer. It's what I do. But this is my new guitar. And this is what 15 quid gets you. And if you're looking out to buy a starter guitar, or if you're just getting into playing guitar and you want something cheap, don't buy this. Do not buy one of these. Do not buy one of these. It plays like crap. You will not be able to learn. It's physically painful for me to play it, and I've been playing 10 years. For someone who hasn't built up any strength or resilience in their hands, it's going to be an absolute chore. Do not buy one of these if you're learning to play guitar. But if you do want a cheap guitar, well, you could buy it and then take it to a tech to set up, but again, you don't know if you're buying a dog or not. I checked the neck isn't twisted or anything, and it isn't. The neck is perfectly fine. The body's perfectly fine. If you know what to look for, these are great guitars to sort of grab and mod to within an inch of its life. I'm toying with the idea of putting mini humbuckers in here, maybe. I don't know. It's not really my thing in a Strat. I prefer the single coil Strat thing. Yeah, it kind of, it's what I like in a Strat. The Strat thing, but I don't know. These are great. You could do anything you want to these. They're great modding platforms. But if you want to learn guitar, don't buy one of these. Christ, don't buy one of these. But I'm really happy with this. I am really happy with this as a project. These are great. These are solidly built. I mean, look, it's wood. It's still here. It's still here. And if it does get a few knocks on it on the way to the gig, or, you know, back of a van or something, it's fine. It's fine. It's 15 quid. It's fine. I'm not going to cry about it. So there's my inexpensive Strat, my latest inexpensive Strat, a play on Strat, and play on it is what I intend to do. So thank you for watching. When I've got more bits, and I've got the shims through from StuMac because they've got to come from America, I will do the video of adding the shim to get the neck angle right, and then I'll put the saddles on again. I might have to re-intonate it at that point. I'm thinking I can just slacken the screws off, sort of hold the saddle in place, unscrew it at the back, and then put the screw back in, and probably be slightly off still, but whatever. Probably need a whole new setup, to be fair, after I sort the neck angle out. But so there you have it though. This is my play on Strat. This is what 15 quid gets you. It's not playable, but it will be. My name's Al. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense. Thank you very much for watching. Leave any questions down in the comments and I'll try to get to them. But until next week, I'll be seeing you. Bye.